Welcome back, deep divers. Today we'll be diving deep into 8 keys to practicing mindfulness. It's an audiobook by Manuela Miski Reads.
Oh, yeah, I loved this one.
Yeah, it's packed with really practical insights on how to actually cultivate mindfulness in our daily lives. Not just like the theory, but the actual how-to.
Totally. And
Yeah.
she brings in these really fascinating stories and exercises to really bring it all to life.
So we're going to unpack these 8 keys and see how they all fit together, right? To help us kind of experience the many benefits of mindfulness that Reads talks about.
Yeah. And what I found really cool was how Reads weaves together, personal anecdotes and ancient wisdom, right? With actual practical techniques. So you'll hear about a Vietnamese refugee's story of resilience.
Oh, wow.
There's a Taoist tale about reframing the idea of luck.
Okay.
And even a deep dive into the science of kindness.
I'm intrigued already. But before we unlock those 8 keys, right, let's start with, I guess, an essential step that Reads doesn't explicitly mention,
All right.
setting a baseline.
Right. Imagine you're about to, embark on a journey.
Yeah,
You wouldn't just set off without knowing your starting point, right?
absolutely.
Same goes for mindfulness.
Yeah.
You really got to understand your current state of being, your emotional landscape, your typical reactions, that kind of thing.
It's like taking inventory of your mental and emotional baggage, right, before setting off on this journey of self-discovery.
Exactly. And that awareness, right? That
Yeah.
forms the foundation for your whole mindfulness practice.
Okay. So with that baseline established, let's move on to key #2, cultivating mindful postures.
Right.
Now, I gotta ask, does this just mean sitting up straight?
Well, it's more than just physical posture, right? Although that is definitely part of it.
Okay.
But think of it as adjusting your mental stance as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Reads, she suggests finding a posture that embodies, alertness and receptivity, almost like a mountain.
Like grounded yet reaching towards the sky.
Yes, exactly.
I'm picturing that mountain pose from yoga.
Yes.
That sense of stability, but also openness.
Yeah, yeah. So it's about aligning our physical and mental posture,
Right.
right, to create that space for mindfulness to flourish.
I like that. All right, so from this balanced foundation, I guess we can move on to key #3, which Reads calls riding the waves of emotions.
This one really resonated with me.
Oh, tell me more. I'm always looking for ways to navigate those sometimes turbulent waters of emotions.
Well, instead of trying to suppress or ignore our emotions, right?
Yeah.
Reads encourages us to observe them mindfully.
Okay.
It's like riding a wave. We don't fight against it, but we learn to flow with its energy.
That's a great analogy. I like that. It feels much more empowering than just feeling overwhelmed and tossed around by every, emotional surge.
Yeah. And speaking of powerful stories, this is where we meet Rick,
Oh, yes, Rick.
a veteran whose experience with mindfulness really brought this key to life, I think.
Yes. Rick's story is it's a real testament to the transformative power of mindfulness. Yeah, he used it to process the trauma that he carried from his service and ultimately, find peace and purpose.
That's incredible.
But it's amazing, through observing his emotions and sensations, he unlocked this reservoir of compassion, not just for himself, but for others as well.
Wow.
And he went on to build this community garden, offering a space for healing and connection for, other veterans in his town.
That's so inspiring. It shows that mindfulness isn't just about, personal growth, but it can really have this ripple effect outwards,
Yeah.
touching the lives of those around us.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift our focus to key #4, befriending the body.
I have to admit, I get so caught up in my thoughts sometimes that I forget to even tune in to my physical sensations.
It's so easy to do that. We get lost in the world of thoughts, but the body is a powerful source of wisdom. Reads reminds us that mindfulness encompasses the whole being, thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations.
Right. Yeah.
She emphasizes paying attention to even the subtlest cues our body sends, from a gentle tingling to a feeling of warmth.
It's like becoming aware of the language our body speaks, right?
Yeah.
A language we often ignore or misunderstand.
Yes. And by learning to listen to those subtle messages, we can better understand our needs and respond with greater self-care.
Okay.
And this awareness, right?
Yeah.
It becomes particularly important when we encounter that pesky inner critic, which Reads tackles in key #5.
Taming the inner critic.
Oh,
Oh, that inner critic. I've been struggling with negative self-talk lately, and I'm really eager to hear how Reed's suggests we tame this inner beast.
Well, Reeds offers this powerful technique. She calls it uh, reframing the inner critic's messages.
Okay.
And it's not about silencing that voice completely, but rather like shifting its tone
Mm-hmm.
from harsh criticism to more constructive feedback.
I see.
She encourages us to treat that inner critic with compassion, almost um, like a misguided friend who needs a little guidance.
So instead of letting those critical thoughts, just drag us down, we can actually use them as opportunities for growth and self-compassion.
Exactly.
That's a perspective shift I'm definitely willing to explore.
And sometimes the best way to quiet that inner chatter, right,
Mm-hmm.
is through key #6,
Oh, okay.
discovering your breath.
The breath. It seems so simple, yet so profound.
It really is. Reeds highlights the breath as our anchor to the present moment,
Okay.
and she emphasizes that we don't need like complex breathing techniques or anything.
Right.
Just simple awareness of our, inhales and exhales.
It's like that constant rhythm grounding us amidst the chaos of life. A reminder that we're here, now, in this moment.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Now, this next key, this one really intrigued me.
Oh, yeah.
Key #7, choosing abundance. I'm all ears for this one.
This one delves into the power of like our mindset.
Okay.
So Reeds contrasts scarcity thinking, where we're, focused on what we lack, with an abundance perspective,
Mm-hmm.
where we recognize the richness already present in our lives.
You'll like that.
And to illustrate this, she shares this fascinating dualist story about a farmer and his son.
Have I heard this one?
Maybe not, but it's a story that's been told for centuries, and it beautifully illustrates, how our perception shapes our reality.
Mm-hmm.
So in the story, the farmer loses his horse, right?
Okay.
Everyone's like, "Oh, this is bad luck." But the farmer, he just says, "Maybe."
Maybe.
Then the horse returns with a wild stallion, and everyone's like, "Ooh, this is good luck."
Right.
And the farmer again just says, "Maybe."
Maybe.
And this pattern continues, right, through all these events, each labeled as either good or bad luck. And each time the farmer just responds with,
Maybe.
"Maybe."
Wow, that's a powerful reminder not to get caught up in labeling events as good or bad,
Right.
but to just like observe them with an open mind.
Exactly. By letting go of expectations and judgments, we create space for a more nuanced and ultimate, more fulfilling experience of life.
Yeah, I really like that story. And what's interesting is that Reeds connects this abundance perspective to everyday experiences as well, right?
Huh.
She shares an anecdote about a woman in a Javanese market, and she finds joy and abundance in the simple act of wrapping a package.
Yes. It highlights that abundance isn't about like material wealth, but a state of mind,
Mm-hmm.
an appreciation for the beauty and richness already present in our lives.
I love that idea of finding abundance in the ordinary, in the everyday moments.
Right.
It makes me think about how often I just rush through my day and miss those like small but precious details.
It's the beauty of mindfulness, right? It invites us to slow down, to savor those seemingly insignificant moments, and to discover the hidden treasures within them.
Hmm. So this leads us to key #8, opening the heart.
Yeah.
It seems like a natural progression from choosing abundance, moving from an internal shift to a more outward expression of this mindset.
Absolutely. Opening the heart is about cultivating kindness and compassion,
Mm-hmm.
both for ourselves and for others. It's recognizing that we are all interconnected, right?
Yeah.
And that our actions, no matter how small, can have a ripple effect on the world around us.
I'm curious to hear how Reeds approaches this idea of opening the heart. Like, what stories and practices does she share?
She highlights some truly inspiring examples of how opening the heart can transform lives.
Okay.
One story that really stood out to me is about Trevor, a college student who initially volunteered at a food kitchen out of, obligation. But then he discovered this unexpected joy and fulfillment in the act of serving others.
It's amazing how acts of kindness can have such a profound impact, not just on the receiver, right, but on the giver as well. I'm definitely ready to dive deeper into these heart-opening practices and just discover how they can enrich my own life and the lives of those around me.
Well, then let's take a short break and come back to explore the power of opening the heart and the transformative practices that Reeds offers.
It's so easy to forget that, to appreciate those small moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of appreciating, let's dive into key #8, opening the heart.
Okay.
Where do we even begin with something as grand as opening the heart?
Well, it might sound daunting, but she breaks it down beautifully.
Yeah.
She emphasizes that, opening the heart isn't about some like grand sweeping gesture, right?
Yeah.
It's more about like a series of small intentional acts of kindness and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And it begins with cultivating kindness towards ourselves
Yeah.
and then extending that outwards to others.
That makes sense. It's like we can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Right.
We need to nurture our own well-being before we can truly extend compassion to others.
Exactly. And to illustrate this, Reed shares a really touching story about Dong,
Okay.
a Vietnamese refugee who endured like unimaginable hardship,
Wow.
yet radiates compassion and joy.
It's incredible.
It is. And despite facing like immense challenges, she never lost her ability to see the good in others and to offer a helping hand.
Dong's story is a powerful reminder that even amidst adversity, we have the capacity to choose kindness
Yes.
and to find moments of joy. It's like a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.
Her story, it really touched me too, and it made me realize that sometimes the people who've endured the most hardship are most capable of offering genuine compassion.
That reminds me of another story that Reed shares about Trevor, the college student who discovered this unexpected joy while volunteering at a food kitchen. And it wasn't just about helping others, but also about the positive impact it had on his own well-being, right?
Absolutely. Trevor's story highlights the biological benefits of kindness.
Mm-hmm.
These studies have shown that engaging in acts of kindness releases endorphins, those feel-good chemicals in our brains.
Right.
So it's not just like a feel-good emotion.
Yeah.
It's actually beneficial for our physical health, too.
It's a win-win situation. We get to help others and we feel good doing it. But what about those times when we're struggling, when it feels difficult to access that inner wellspring of compassion?
Well, for those times, Reeds provides this beautiful practice called the heart practice meditation,
Okay.
which helps us cultivate kindness and openness even when we're feeling depleted. It's a simple yet profound technique
Okay.
that involves bringing to mind someone we care about and extending feelings of warmth and well-being towards them.
I love the simplicity of that. It's accessible to anyone, regardless of their experience with meditation.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that by practicing compassion for others, we actually increase our own self-compassion.
Oh, wow.
It's like this beautiful feedback loop where kindness breeds more kindness.
That makes me think of that ripple effect we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
By cultivating kindness within ourselves, we create ripples of compassion that extend outward, right?
Yeah.
Touching the lives of those around us.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. And it really reinforces the interconnectedness that Reeds emphasizes throughout the audiobook.
So we've explored these 8 keys, from setting a baseline to opening the heart. It feels like a journey, a progression towards a more mindful and compassionate way of being.
It's like we're assembling a toolkit for navigating life's challenges with greater awareness, resilience, and kindness.
But I imagine there will be times when we stumble, when we
Right.
fall back into old patterns of thinking and behaving.
Oh, for sure.
What does Reed suggest we do in those moments?
Well, she emphasizes the importance of self-compassion, reminding us that mindfulness is a practice, not a destination.
Right.
It's about noticing when we've strayed from the path without judgment and then gently guiding ourselves back.
That's reassuring. It takes the pressure off striving for some, unattainable state of perfect mindfulness.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection. And Reeds reminds us that even short periods of mindfulness practice can have a positive impact on our well-being.
So we don't need to spend hours meditating in a silent retreat to experience the benefits.
Not at all. Reeds encourages us to find small pockets of mindfulness throughout our day.
Okay.
Whether it's taking a few conscious breaths while waiting in line or savoring a cup of tea without distractions.
It's about bringing that awareness and intention to the everyday moments, right?
Yeah.
Transforming the mundane into the mindful.
And remember that Taoist story about the farmer?
Yeah.
Sometimes what we perceive as setbacks or challenges can lead to unexpected opportunities for growth.
It's all about shifting our perspective, isn't it? Instead of labeling events as good or bad, we can approach them with curiosity and an open mind.
Precisely. By letting go of expectations and embracing the unfolding of life.
Yeah.
we create space for greater peace and fulfillment.
I love that. So we've learned about these 8 keys, we've heard inspiring stories, and even explored some practical techniques.
Mm,
Now, how do we bring this all together? Like, how do we actually integrate these teachings into our daily lives?
that's the million-dollar question.
Jeff.
And Reed's offers some fantastic mindfulness for the road tips in the epilogue.
Okay.
And she emphasizes that it's not about, grand gestures, but rather about incorporating small intentional practices into our daily routines.
Like, what kind of practices? Give us some examples.
Well, one simple yet powerful practice she suggests is taking a moment before bed to reflect on the day
Mm-hmm.
and identify one or two things you're grateful for.
Okay.
It's a beautiful way to shift your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant in your life.
That's a great one. I can see how that would help cultivate a more positive mindset before drifting off to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. Reed's also encourages finding moments of mindfulness throughout the day,
Okay.
even during activities we wouldn't typically associate with mindfulness. For example, she suggests paying attention to the sensations of your feet on the ground as you walk,
Oh, okay.
or bringing awareness to the taste and texture of your food as you eat.
It's about transforming those everyday activities into opportunities for mindfulness, for presence.
Exactly. And over time, these small, consistent practices can have a profound impact on our overall well-being.
It's like we're rewiring our brains,
Mm.
training our minds to be more present, more compassionate, more resilient.
And remember, it's not about doing it perfectly.
Right.
It's about showing up with kindness and curiosity, even when we stumble.
That's such an important reminder. It takes the pressure off and allows us to approach this journey with a sense of like playfulness and exploration.
Absolutely. And as we cultivate mindfulness in our own lives, we naturally begin to extend that awareness and compassion outwards.
It's like that ripple effect we talked about. Our individual practices of mindfulness contribute to a collective shift towards a more peaceful and compassionate world.
What a beautiful thought. And it reminds me of a question Reeds poses towards the end of the audiobook.
Oh, what's the question?
She asks, how might practicing these keys change not only your life, but ripple outwards to those around you?
That's a powerful question. It invites us to consider the interconnectedness of our actions and how our individual journeys of mindfulness can contribute to a greater good.
And it leaves us with something to ponder as we wrap up our deep dive.
So, dear listener, as we bring this exploration of mindfulness to a close, we invite you to reflect on that question. How might incorporating these 8 keys into your life create positive ripples in your own world and beyond?
Yeah, it's a beautiful idea that by focusing on ourselves, we can ultimately impact the world around us. It really is, and it makes me think of Reed's suggestion to like create a mindfulness menu for ourselves.
A mindfulness menu. Okay, now that sounds interesting. Tell me more about that.
So she suggests creating a list of mindfulness practices that resonate with us.
Okay.
Whether it's taking a mindful walk in nature, listening to some calming music, or practicing like a loving kindness meditation.
It's like creating a personalized toolkit for navigating, life's ups and downs.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is that we can tailor it to our own individual needs and preferences.
So, like, if I'm feeling stressed, I might choose a breathing exercise.
Right.
And if I'm feeling disconnected, I might reach for a practice that cultivates connection and compassion.
Exactly. It empowers us to like take an active role in our own well-being, choosing practices that support us in each moment.
I love that idea of having a mindfulness menu like at our fingertips. It makes
Yeah.
the whole practice, feel more accessible and less daunting.
It's all about finding what works for you, right? Experimenting with different practices and incorporating them into your life in a way that feels sustainable and enjoyable.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
There will be days when we forget to practice, when we get caught up in the whirlwind of life, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Reeds really emphasizes the importance of self-compassion,
Yeah.
reminding us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a dear friend.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be human, to, stumble and get back up again without judgment.
And in those moments of like self-doubt or discouragement, remember the stories we've shared today, the stories of Rick, Dong, and Trevor.
Yeah, yeah. They're so inspiring.
They remind us that mindfulness is this powerful tool for transformation, for healing, and for creating a more compassionate and fulfilling life.
Their stories are a real testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the potential that lies within each of us to cultivate mindfulness and create positive change.
So as we conclude this deep dive into Manuel Mishka Reed's 8 keys to practicing mindfulness, we invite you to explore these keys, to discover the practices that resonate with you, and to embark on your own journey of mindfulness with a sense of curiosity and compassion.
And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There are, countless resources available, from meditation apps to community groups to support you on your path.
The most important thing is to simply begin. Take one small step today, whether it's taking a few mindful breaths, noticing the sensations of your body, or just offering a kind word to a stranger.
Each step, no matter how small, is a step towards a more mindful and fulfilling life. And as we cultivate mindfulness within ourselves, we contribute to a collective shift towards a more compassionate and connected world.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. May your journey of mindfulness be filled with peace, joy, and a profound sense of connection.